Good morning, meditators. Welcome back. My name is Daniel, and this is Essentials of Meditation, session number 18 today. And I want to take a couple of minutes, to talk about the Tao, the Taoist idea of the complementarity of opposites in the world. As we look at ourselves, we see that we have a left and a right. Uh, we are bifurcated in that way. There's so much in our perception that's like that, up and down, back and forth, um, hatred, love, all kinds of pairs of opposites that really inform one another. And one of the methodologies within Taoism, which isn't really a philosophy, it's more just like a perspective. It's like noticing the way the world works rather than trying to do something about it or trying to change it. One of the great proponents that I appreciate is Alan Watts, of Taoism and also of Zen Buddhism to some degree. But Alan Watts had a wonderful metaphor or analogy. He said he was in nature for a walk, went for a walk, and one of those little dandelion seeds was floating on the breeze. You know, the seed that's suspended with those very, very small, kind of feathery, I guess you can call them leaves or appendages. It's floating along, and he grabbed it by the seed and he watched it. He said, as the wind blew, it almost looked as if the dandelion seed was struggling to get away. And he said, that can't be. But then he said, but then I thought again. And I said, isn't it the case that it is the intelligence of this seed, of this small part of this larger nature, that it's not using muscular effort to try to move itself, to reseed in some other area. It's simply using the wind currents and opening itself to the possibility that the wind can take it where it wants to go. And this way, it's actually much more efficient than using muscles. So he thought that was kind of the perfect example of the Tao, of moving with the way of nature rather than against it. Effortlessness, but also intelligence. So we can apply this to our study of meditation as well. When we close our eyes and sit, of course, one of the first things you'll notice is your own distraction. And this can become anxiety provoking. It can become frustrating to notice kind of how, quote, how poorly we're doing meditating. You have to remember this. If you could sit quietly and unperturbed for many, many hours at a time, spontaneously, of course, there would be no need to meditate, right? You'd actually be after something like, how can I make my life more complex? Because that's what you'd need. But our lives, we like complexity, and it's difficult for us to be quiet and still. So that difficulty is part of the way. It's part of the Tao. It's to be accepted, and recognized. And then through that, we can start to notice, why do I become distracted, or for how long, or what provokes it? And rather than looking at the distraction as something to push away, to actually bring it closer, to begin to understand it more so that it can inform our practice. So let's try. Take a couple moments, and as we always do, just settle in. If you'd like to close your eyes, you're welcome to do that. In Vipassana, it's often the case we start with the breath because it's always there, and it can be both spontaneous and effortless, and it can also be forceful. So let's start with a little bit of force in the breath, the way we would normally approach most things in our lives, manipulation and control. So you can deepen the feeling of the breath. Notice the lungs fill and empty. And now we'll dial that effort down to about half of what you're doing. So you're working half as hard to voluntarily breathe. And we're still within the realm of control here. Now see if you can take that down to about 10% of effort. All right, try to release effort completely. Simply just feel the breath. And you can immediately see the difficulty here, right? As soon as you're attending to the breath, there's a subtle act of control. So let's switch our emphasis now. Move away from control of the breath, and you can place your fingers on your wrist or on your artery within your neck and see if you can find your pulse. So locate your pulse and just feel your heartbeat. Now, it is possible through the breath to exert some control over the heartbeat. But for now, not knowing what to do, just let nature take its way. And you're in a state of surrender here, of appreciation of the beating of your heart. Take 1 minute here. Just noticing. Now you can bring your hands back to your lap, and we'll finish with a few, again, voluntary and deeper breaths. Releasing the breath as you exhale. And as you're ready, you can begin to open the eyes, and we'll conclude our meditation for today with that idea: control versus the spontaneous biological being of the body, of which we are mostly. Thanks again.